Evening all. I'm just going to crack straight on this evening, but there it is. Amiga 500 set ready to go, so basically gonna tackle some we're gonna tackle some nice pixel art this evening, high-res Amiga pixel art, some manga style stuff, so hey there everybody. Oh, get this right. So let's just crack straight on because I want to make some good progress tonight. I'm going to try and follow the chat as always, but obviously in the interest of actually making some progress tonight, I might not be as attentive as I usually try to be, or even less attentive than usual, depending on your point of view. Hey, your statey, hope you're well. So this is Golden Kamuy. Kind of besotted with this manga since I picked it up last weekend. As I showed briefly yesterday, I had a bash at drawing a Siapa on paper last week. Fabulous character, and I've got this idea in my head of how I want to this piece to turn out. So I've basically got the manga in front of me. I'm not intending really to copy anything per se, but I'll be looking at various things from Satoru Noda's art just to sort of inspire me, shall we say. And I basically just want to do, let's see if I can find the page. Should have left a little bookmark in this. It's just here. There's little diptychs in the manga, which just look really super cool, and I want to basically recreate one of those. Hey Wolfadorn Wolf, hope you're well. So sleeves are rolled up, let's crack on. So I will try to follow the chat as I say, but it's probably going to be a little bit less attentive than usual. Hopefully the audio levels are all good, guys. Let's get going. So this could be a complete disaster this evening. I've never actually drawn any of these characters. Oh, it's not in workbench. What am I doing? Before in pixel art. Seeing as I only picked up the manga the other week, so I'm using my Amiga 500 here, and as you can see, we're actually going to use high-res interlace mode. I'm just going to make sure it's coming through fine on the capture before I get too deep into this. That looks fine. Thankfully, with today's LCDs and all the rest of it, it's a nice rock-solid picture, so you don't have to put it with flicker. So we're looking good. All right, let's get the everything set up. So I'm just using Deluxe Paint III, as you can see here. Just bring that down a bit. I'm not going to draw straight onto white because it's just a little bit too zingy to look at. So I'm just going to draw on a slight grey to start with, which is just a little bit less eye strainy. And let's just see where I can start. I want to start with a Siapa. Let's see if there's something in here that gives me an idea of a pose. Looks pretty cool. See, that's quite nice there. I don't know how well this will come out, but just this little panel here. Quite like the looking over the shoulder. It's a little bit different. Yeah, I think something along those lines is pretty cool. And then what I can do is I can probably do Saiichi, Sugimoto, sort of looking the other way, sort of like that kind of. I might just draw it so that Siapa is slightly forwards, I guess. So yeah, so we're just going to see how this goes. I'm going to leave that there, just so I've got something to keep an eye on. So yeah, of course, if you do have any questions in the chat, just throw them down. I'm happy to do so. Just gonna. Oh, didn't want to do that. How's that? Obviously, didn't click on the colour I thought I had. There you go. Let's just see if this cyan stands out enough for me to draw with. Yeah, it does. Okay, so let's go. So I'm just going to roughly sketch out some rough positioning here. The reason I want to use high res is because usually when I do these things, I'm usually using sort of like Amiga low res, like 320 by 256. You know, pretty standard sort of 16-bit kind of resolution, isn't it? I wanted to do something that's just a little bit more higher quality, which I do on occasion. So I must admit, I usually start with drawing in low res to start with, and then bring it over into high res. So this is, I'll be honest with you, I feel this is a bit of a brave choice, but particularly to live stream it, really. But you know, we'll just give it a go. You know, I as I keep on saying, I have absolutely no shame in showing up where I get things right and where I get them wrong. Because ultimately, if you see somebody who you consider knows what they're doing mess up, then it's going to give you the confidence that if you are doing something and that you feel like you've messed up, at least you can say, well, at least somebody I consider that knows what they're doing also messes up. Yeah, this is going to need to come in a bit more. Hi Kev, how are you doing? I don't know whether I'm a pixel wizard or not, but I certainly enjoy it. That's the main thing. The thing with high res is getting the mouse positioned is just that little bit more tricky. This is only a rough outline, remember guys? So this is going to be refined. But I just wanted to show what you can do with these. Let's just get this right. It's quite a side on, isn't it? That looks better. Let's come in here and just sort this out. The Amiga 500 I'm using is not quite stock, although there is absolutely nothing to stop you doing this on a stock Amiga 500. It's got an ACA 500 Plus attached to the side, which you may have seen with my very wonky intro. It's an accelerator of sorts made by Jens Schoenfeld, and most crucially, it provides a good. Do I want to move this? I think I do a bit. Got to get the right feel for this to begin with. And crucially, it gives me the compact flash interface, so I can use the compact flash as a hard disk. It's a very, very nifty bit of kit, that's for sure. So I think the chin just needs to come down a bit more. I've got a bit of buzz from the funny. Oh, actually, I'll tell you what it is. Let me just sort that out. The audio cable's not plugged into the A500, but the Magewell is obviously expecting to pick up some audio, so it's obviously just picking up some noise on the signal. Let me just mute that. So there you go. That should be better for you guys. Sorry about that. In my haste to get started, I didn't check that I'd muted the Magewell. So yeah, let's pop that back on there. So yeah, we need to just get a little bit more height into the chin here. A bit more than that maybe. But yeah, this is just an outline. But yeah, everything that I'm doing tonight is possible with your 1987 Commodore Amiga 500. Nothing particularly special about the configuration apart from the ACA, to be honest with you, but admittedly it does do a lot of very cool things. So, and as you can see, I'm just basically using the vertical line tool just to get the outline in. Aiming to wrap up tonight's stream around about 10 o'clock, guys. Just purely because obviously it's a school night and I've got quite a big day ahead of me tomorrow at work. So But I didn't want to... I've really enjoyed the streams I've done this weekend, and I just wanted to keep those good vibes up, basically. So, and I thought, well, I did mention about possibly drawing this or starting on this last night, but I think that was slightly optimistic. So I will clean up these lines. Just got to get this right. So this is basically the top of the eyes, where the eyelashes will reach out to. This is something that I couldn't have done back in the day when I was little, because anybody who used an Amiga back then will know that using high res meant interlace flicker, and if you was already using your Amiga over RF, it was bad enough in low res to be able to see what you was doing. So it was nigh impossible with interlace as well. Although I did do it, and it's probably why I need to wear contacts these days, is the truth known. So, but I don't think much of any real good substance came out of those days. So, hey Dasley, hope you're well. Hey there, Mad Pete, I hope you're doing well. So, oh gosh, you've overdone it, have you, this weekend, Mad Pete? Good to see you. Went for drinks after Revival 2019. I'm never drinking again. Yeah, I've said that very often about nights out, that I'm never going to drink again, and by the week later, I'm ready to go again. So. But yeah, I know I said I was gonna just knuckle down and get on with this, but I'm already gassing, aren't I? But I'm not the antisocial kind. This is me getting on with it. So that's the very rough outline of a Sierpa. I'm just gonna very vaguely sketch in some hairline here. This is incredibly vague at the moment, so but I just want to get a feel for everything, and it should give you the confidence that you can just start slapping down pixels and going for this. So even when things don't match up perfectly when you're doing these sketches, but that's the whole point when you sketch. And then she has this very cool Ainu headscarf or hat that she's wearing. So it comes down, it's going to come up and around like so. And it's just going to keep on enveloping the forehead before slightly coming down like so. And that's good. So all these lines look a bit messy at the moment, but don't worry. They will eventually make some sense. The more you do this, guys, if you want to get into doing this kind of stuff, the more you're able to see through the mishmash of markings that you make. So I'm glad that's sorted out the audio though. Error 42, thanks for the, no pun intended, the feedback. Let's just get this bit right. That's, yeah, the way that this has been drawn originally. It's just a little, I probably made this jut out a little bit too much, but and it's going to come up and over like so. And now I'm want to think about placing some markings for the nose, so they're gonna sit somewhere here. And then the mouth, very, very roughly. It's gonna be up a bit more than that. Come down like so. And then the eyes, again, these are very rough. Just remember this line here is the top of the eyelashes, so I just have a very slight curve. And this is going to look really really strange to start with, guys, but don't be alarmed. How was Revival though? Did you enjoy it though, Mad Pete? I saw lots of awesome stuff emanating out on Twitter this weekend from the event, so looked like a good time was had by all. I'm going to endeavour to get there next year myself. She looks unhappy at the minute. Don't worry, she won't be. It's just that what's eventually going to happen is that, well, one, I'm going to get the lines a bit more refined, and the shading will kick in as well. So I'm just going to slightly. Might just compress this just a little. Well, maybe it's fine as it was. Let's go with something like that. It was definitely a fun influence. The noise change to change your background colour. Wow. Maybe. It's possible. But I've muted the input now, so it's interference or not, it'll be fine, so. And then we'll just come in and do the other eyes, so. I think it's going to be roughly about here. Good say it's about here. The other pupil, roughly. I could use the circle tool for this, to be fair, but oh well. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll do a slightly better job of it. I know this is only a sketch, but at the moment. But even so. So like so, and then just go over here, just tidy that bit up. Yep. And there we go. Hey there, Colin. How's you doing? Yeah, I'm doing very well, thanks. How's Trix there? So I hope you're well. Is it another night shift? Well, it won't be, obviously, will it, down there? So must be something, what, like early morning now or something? I don't know. I can never remember the time difference, so. And then the hairline is going to sweep around here like so. In fact, actually, it's going to come a bit more over. It's going to be actually almost. See, what I can tell here is that I've made the face just that little bit too tall. That's the beauty of just doing a sketch. You can quickly correct things like that. I'm just going to correct this cheek here a little. I like to get the sketch within the ballpark of being pretty much on the money. Not obviously pixel for pixel, obviously, because that's going to come in a minute. But I like to not have it so scrappy that you can't see anything at all. That's far too. Ooh, run out of space. Just zoomed in a bit here, just so that I can get this a little bit more correct. But this is arguably one of the most time-consuming parts of it, even though it's a sketch. You know, you've got to get your outlines, whether you're drawing on computer or old computer, modern computer. If you've got a messy sketch, you'll never be able to ink it as well as if you've got clean, well thought out sketch marks. So I actually quite like that pixel there. I'm just going to tidy this up. Obviously on the audio tonight again is the Chrono Cross OST, which was playing last night as well. But I'm actually not listening to that. I'm listening to a new album that I found this afternoon, and one of which I've tracked down already. It's from Pig and Dan, and it's called Destination Unknown. So if you like your ambient sort of down-tempo music, do check it out. It's, so far from what I've heard, it's awesome. So okay, yep, quite happy with this so far. Again, I'm only guessing really at the top of Asiopa's hat really here. But just using the general sort of in my head picture of what the perspective should be roughly on. Oh, that's got a really strange corner on it. Let me just sort that out. Something like that. Yeah, that's probably more. It's more of like a headscarfy sort of thing, I think. Well, it is. It's sort of like a hat, but it's like a, you know, scarf that's wrapped around and tied at the back, from what I can work out. So the real Golden Kamuy fans will be able to correct me on all of that. So, as I say, this is a fairly new manga to me, but one that I've been absolutely besotted with since finishing the first volume. So literally bought it on Saturday, finished it by Tuesday, and I didn't even read any on Saturday night because I was a rather unexpected, it's not my kind of music, I'll be honest, hard house rave of sorts in Dalston because I'm down with the kids like that. So I'm really not. Yeah, that's looking better to me. I mean, I'm probably going to adjust this more, but I just want to get a good feeling about the sketch, and I do have a good feeling about this sketch. So, and you know, again, you know, because in the interest of inspiring other people to go out there and do this, yeah, this will just need to still sit over here. In fact, actually, I'm going to leave that where it was, because I think actually, realistically, this needs to be even more out of here. yeah, so basically, you know, when I do sketches and that, even when, obviously, because most of the time I don't live screen everything I draw, guys. That would be too much pressure and actually would not be that enjoyable all the time. It's not because I don't enjoy your company, but it's just gets a little bit, you know, it removes one of the integral reasons why I draw, whether it's on paper or on computer, is the fact that this is how I unwind and truly express myself. And if it's always a performance art, which streaming is to a degree, I think, then it becomes a little bit done under duress, which it never should be. So it's important that I'm able to draw things away from it. But yeah, I mean, obviously I did think when I started, you know, advertise the fact that I was going to do a live stream of a Amiga high-res pixel art, I was thinking, what are you doing? That's going to be crazy hard. You'll probably make a mess of it and everybody will see it. But actually, let people see me screw up, kind of thing, because hopefully I can show you how to unscrew it up and you'll think, wow, I could do that. or something along those lines, at least. So I'm just doing, there's sepia. I mean, bear in mind that this manga is set in the very early 20th century, sort of around the time of the Russo-Japanese War, and so different standards, and obviously sepia is a ethnic Ainu girl, so fur is very much the thing, as Primark and Forever 21 wasn't quite around at that time, so. Or H&M. So this is kind of like a fur sort of shawl or scarf or some description. So, and it's just basically, I'm not going to draw all of the aspects of it, but it's essentially, I'm going to say that Seba's hair is going to curve around like so. Again, these are rough lines, so don't take this as being in stone. And even at the back here, I'm going to have it, because she doesn't have super long hair. It's not super long. So I'm going to just have it go around like so. Something in that direction. Sadly, my Amiga 500 has a slightly finicky keyboard, so it doesn't always not all the characters work on it, but so far it seems to be holding up. But I did actually have to change the plunger that sits underneath the keys. The graphite's worn away on the plunger part, which makes contact with the keyboard membrane, and that's the bit that has the electrical contacts to say, like, the D key is being pressed and so forth. But the tilde key on the far left-hand side was the only key that wasn't working, as well as the tab. So I've had to swap a couple of the key plungers just for the time being, because the tab and the tilde key in Deluxe Paint is really, really important to what I do. So, because it's used for stencils and stuff like that. So, and then basically I'm just going to indicate roughly where the back of Asiapa's headscarf is, tied at the back. And then basically oops, bashed the Amiga there. You would draw a line to sort of indicate where the shoulder goes up and around, like so, just to roughly get the anatomy in the right direction, and then it'll just be a little bit above that for the shawl, and that's just gonna come down here like so. Hey there, Phil. If it's Phil, how you doing? Hey, Robert Taylor, good to see you. I don't know why I keep on saying Robert Taylor, but good to see you, Robert. Or Rob. I think what it is that when I'm really concentrating, I just read out stuff from the chat, you know, people's handles, like just verbatim, shall we say. Okay, so what we got? 12 watch minutes, 4 thumbs up. Oh, thanks, Kev. You are, sweetie. You had a great day, Pete. Oh, that's awesome. Better than play for me. That's the vibe that I get about Revival. I don't know. I mean, it's like everything, isn't it? You know, it gets a bit of a following. It's a bit underground. It's a little bit rough around the edges. Lots more people go to it. Becomes more. I'm not saying it's not professionally organised, by the way. It becomes more of a organised affair, and it loses some of that spontaneous magic. But hopefully, that will never happen. You know what I mean. So basically, I was digging myself a nice big hole there, wasn't I? That's what I was doing. So what we want to do is obviously make sure that where we've got this shoulder coming across here, I'm going to just draw this in yellow and fix the background just for a moment. So, because if you think the shoulders are swung 3/4, you're looking over the shoulders, so they're actually tilted, the shoulders. So the shoulders are going to come over. This is only guesswork, guys. The shoulder's going to come over like so. You see? Can you see how that happens? So one of the really good things if you're looking to get started with drawing is to just pose yourself and maybe have a mirror. That's sometimes quite helpful because obviously, you know, if you want to see particularly hands and stuff like that, it's helpful to see what the reflection is, but of course obviously you've got to remember to reverse it again. But also the little mannequins, little wooden mannequins, you can get, they're really good for general posing. But just look at anatomy, guys. It's really important to getting the believability up and so forth. So, and that's what basically, that's why I'm shifting my shoulders around. It also means I can groove to the music as I as I draw. So there's a very rough outline of a Sierpa there. Quite happy with that actually. Obviously don't forget her ears. So these are going to be set back a little bit over here, so because the jawline's going up. This line here is probably where the ear is going to be. And it's just going to come up like so. As I've said previously, every manga artist has their style. God knows what mine is. I'm not doing it in pixels, I guess. I mean, obviously, you've seen that I do hand draw it as well. But every manga artist will have their style, and every manga artist draws their ears differently. As one of the things I noticed, it's almost like a fingerprint is the ear in manga artists, and Satoru Noda's sorry, I had to remind myself of his name, sorry, are no exceptions. So I'm just doing this very roughly at the moment. So there's sort of lots of concentric half circles with a little bit of that sort of bony part of the ear coming out here roughly. So it's just some very rough markings. You had to go on the Vectrex, it was cool. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I've seen the Vectrex a couple of times at the Play Expos actually. Quite enjoyed playing on that. Didn't get very long on it, but it was a bit of a queue behind me to have a go, so I gave way, as you should do. You found a CDTV running Turrican 2 and amped some speakers, so the sound was great, and you can't resist some Turrican, Mad Pete. Sansian, Tim from the Future is 8-Bit, who often joins us in the chat, he snagged a CDTV, which was advertised as a CCTV system, and at Swag he had some Turrican on his CDTV, which was great. Absolutely no different whatsoever to the Amiga 500 version. So I'm just checking his shoulders again. It is literally a 650 megabyte CD that's got the floppy disk of Turrican on it. We couldn't deduce any differences. Not that it was the original copy, obviously, because they fetch silly money now. So Even the floppy disk versions of Taro can fetch silly money. You'd completely forgotten about Manga until you read my tweet the other day, says Mad Pete. Used to be quite into it in the early 90s after a mate introduced him to Fist of the North Star. Yeah, absolutely. There's quite a few NES games based on that manga as well. But I think they were pretty much... I think some of them may have been released in North America, but they were pretty much Japan exclusive as far as I know for the Famicom. And I learned something new today. There was a Nadia... The Secret of Blue Water game released for the Mega Drive, it was the Mega Drive because I think there are reproduction carts for the North American Genesis with a fan translation, but yeah, but even so, yeah, this is looking pretty okay now. I don't want to over embellish it, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe with a stencil the shoulder line. Oh, don't want to take a brush. I'm going to use filled rectangle just to wipe that. I could also just hit the clear button to do that, but I'd rather not do that. At least I can direct where I want to go. So there we go. So that's a very rough outline. So let's clear the stencil. And we'll just save this. I need to make a folder actually. So this is a brand new compact flash card for the ACA. So I've kept it obviously on Workbench 1.3 because I want to have an Amiga that reflects every era, shall we say. So I think the yeah, I was just trying the come on, it's an Amiga. We don't need to do dashes. We can use spaces and file names. I want to keep this as a 1.3 system to reflect each year of the Amiga. So that's why this is important that this runs on 1.3 to me. And we'll call this one Siepa Saichi 1A. Well, actually, we're going to call this the outline. There we go. So there's a Siepa. Let's move her just slightly out of the way. What we can do is also going to free the background. So what we can do is we can grab this as a brush, like so. Should change the handle really, but never mind. I don't want to cut off what I've drawn. There we go. I might actually turn some overscan on this, guys, just so I get a little bit more screen estate. Yeah, exactly. You probably wouldn't even see 880 kilobytes in CDs though. Rob, good question. Do I always use 8 colour for pixel art? No, not always. The reason why I've got 8 colours here is, I mean, technically I could be doing this outline in 4 colours, because what I need is basically the background canvas colour, which is the grey here, which I'll eventually make white, but the grey is just a little less harsh on my eyes to work with, because if I basically make that white, it's quite intense to look at, so I just dial it back a bit at this stage, just to a grey, which is just a little bit easier for me to see. Then I have the black, because you need to be able to see the toolbar and all the rest of it. And I've got the dark cyan here, or almost teal colour. That one's basically for a Siepa. And then I'm going to I might use green, I might use another colour, which I'm going to use for the second character, which will be Saichi. And so basically then what I'll do is, because this is just going to be, I'm going to keep this like, traditional manga panels that can be black and white or grey scale. I'm going to eventually expand this to perhaps maybe 16 colours, because obviously that's all the Amiga 500 can do in high res. Unlike the Amiga 12 or the AGA Amigas, but so yeah, eventually I'm going to expand this either to leave it at 8 colours, but obviously with grayscale or black and white, or up to 16 colours. So no, not always. Mostly I tend to stick to 16 colours, occasionally up to 32, so Is it accelerated? Yes, it is. FS Phil. Just double check. Oh, I've already got one Phil in chat, so I'll just say Phil. So yes, it is. It is accelerated. It's got the ACA 500. So, which is, if I just go wonky camera mode, I'm just going to switch you full screen. I don't want to spend too much time on this bit, but let's just bring back full screen on this. So you can see the ACA 500 plus is there. I only run it at, I think I've got it set to 21 megahertz, but it's just a Motorola 68000 still. You can run it just at 7 megahertz like any Amiga 500 does run by default, but yeah. Excuse my slightly unkempt look today. This is my dress down day, so. But then you can expect that from me. I'm not one of these streamers that does a full face of makeup before I come on it. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, by the way. So, I mean, I was wearing eyeliner and whatever the other day, but only purely because I'd put it on beforehand. So let's increase the overscan a bit. So. No, we don't stretch it. I'm just going to make sure that you can see this clearly, guys, so just bear with. So what you can do in Deluxe Paint is use the control key to adjust the overscan with the cursor keys, so like so. Saves you having to go into the workbench preferences, so this one, yeah, we're good. And of course, I always forget that though. The only thing is that once you drop out of the screen, it does adjust the position. There we go. You can see that fine now, so. Cool. I'm really enjoying this Pig and Dan album. It's not what you guys are listening to. That's the Chrono Cross soundtrack. I couldn't obviously stream Destination Unknown from Pig and Dan because obviously that would be copyright, so. But do check it out if you like your ambient down tempo. Hey there, Doug. Hope you're well. Happy Father's Day to everybody. Yes, that's very true. Happy Father's Day. So, you use it at 28 or 42 megahertz. Yeah, I think the only reason I don't do that, Doug, is because I'm just worried about, you know, just thrashing it a bit too hard. But maybe I shouldn't really worry about it, I guess. So there you go. So there's the SIP. So now I want to basically have Saiichi Sugimoto. I keep on wanting to say Sadamoto, but I'm also thinking of Yoshiyuki Sadamoto as in the Neon Genesis Evangelion artist. So see, I think something like that's quite cool. Don't know whether I'll do it with the shotgun in, but yeah, let's just have a little look through. So yeah, I'm not really copying anything in particular here. I'm just really looking for things to inspire me for this sort of like portrait. So again, my favourite page, squirrels. See, squirrel, look, see your little friend there, look. Oh, I know, look what's happening. Squirrel. So yeah, I'm just looking for the things that are going to inspire me a bit here, but there are some really classic portraits of Saiichi in here, so let's have a look. Yeah, if you want to pick up a manga, guys, I highly recommend this, so let's see what we've got. Yeah, I think something that what I saw a minute ago was pretty much the kind of thing I was thinking of. I mean, obviously the alternative is something like this. Obviously I'd flip it around the other way because I want them to kind of be opposing energies, shall we say, rather than sort of, you know, the connection of them looking in the same way. So Live on the edge, crank it up to 42. Take it up all the way up to 11. Yeah, that's quite nice. There's one bit in it that did make me laugh a little bit. It's when they end up in, what's the name of the town they ended up in? It's quite an adult manga, this one, in many respects. Otaru. And basically they're searching for these peeps with tattoos, and I don't want to give too much away. But basically, Asiapa wanders into like the brothel district, essentially, of Otaru. And you can see how small she is when basically... Look at that. Oh. So I'm still flicking here, aren't I? I just get drawn into looking at the art, so... Yeah, it's a cool trick, isn't it, Phil, that one, so... What should I go for? Few options here. I just want to get this, make this choice right. I know what I've got in my head, so maybe I should just go with that. Yeah, let's go with what's in my head. That will help a little bit. So what we'll do is we're going to fix the background again, because that means that I can, as I've demonstrated a number of times, just basically go like so, completely ruin it, click clear, and it's gone. I'm actually going to use that red because that's actually quite visible on screen, I think. I'm just going to swap it with colour 4 here though. There you go, like so. Obviously we're going to use the pixel wide brush again. We'll drop another circle in here. The other cool thing about fixing the background is that you can obviously then cut the circle and you can drop it back down without affecting the layer behind it, shall we say. It's not really a layer, is it? But you get the effect. So, just trying to think about the eye position. So, like so. I've got to be almost like divergent like this. Yeah, so the eyes are good. I'm going to do it so. Something around there. Obviously I can move all of this, so this is far from final line. Now obviously being a male character, we're not going to have quite so pronounced cheekbones. And the chin is going to be a lot deeper. So I've never actually drawn Saiichi before this, so this could be interesting. Not even on paper have I drawn Saiichi before, so this could be interesting. And I think we'll have the eyes, because even though I've drawn a circle there, this is actually going to continue up a little bit like this. And yeah, I think that's about right. So this is again the top of the eyelashes, like here on Asiapa. So that's what that is, and then basically because again this is a 3/4 view. just a touch over like so. Something like that, yeah, that's good. I think that's about right. And then again, just a very rough outline, this one, so see, this central line's going to have to come over here a bit, actually. Yeah, like so. I don't mind chopping bits out of this and adjusting. Because I think overall that the rest of it's pretty much fine. I'll tidy it up in a minute if necessary. Let's just zoom into that a bit just so I can tidy this up. Am I going with this one here? Let's just tidy this bit up here because I think that's not quite right at the moment. This needs to sweep up a bit more like so. That's better. Because this is the bone of the nose. So yeah, we've got different perspectives going on here. So we're kind of almost looking down at Saiichi here. Whereas with Asiapa, we're kind of not quite at level, we're just slightly, probably just looking sort of like at probably chin level, I would guess. Yeah, right. And then mouth's going to be higher up. So that's roughly the mouth. I might need to adjust that in a moment. So the important thing is that up here, let's get rid of that, is actually going to be the, I don't know what you call it, the peak of Saiichi's officer's hat, as it were, army hat or whatever it is. I don't know. Don't know the technical terms for these things, so. Nice flag of Japan above the part. Yeah, that's it, Wolferdorn. Yeah, you've got it. That's cool, isn't it? I hadn't even thought of that, so. It's the little details that makes the difference, isn't it? So. So then we just need to get the other eye in because it looks a bit strange without it. So let's just going to draw another line in here. It's not going to diverge too much from the line above at the moment, so it's probably diverged a bit too much actually there. This is just going to help with scale and stuff like that, so so that's roughly it. Let's draw this. Probably just a little bit too big, but never mind. So what I notice about the style of manga in Kamuy is that the outlines of the eyes are usually all closed in. There's no gap, like for example on the left here. In a lot of manga styles you would have something that looks a bit like, you know, sort of like the modern sort of, shall we say, not moe per se, but the, you know, like the kind of what I'm drawing here, just to illustrate, is sort of like this style of eye. I've just done that very roughly, but you know what I mean. You'll have something like this, that style, but here and here you have these little gaps for the whites of the eye. Doesn't appear to be the case in this particular style, even though it's kind of indicated with a sepia here. Once it's shaded, you'll see that that won't actually continue. I'm actually also going to move this just a little bit over, just a wee bit. There we go. It's better. It's better. So now I think I need to make this less sharp. That's the only thing with high res, you've got to be a little bit more accurate with your mousing about. That's why this optical mouse that I've got for my Amiga 500 here is really helpful. In fact, well, obviously I use it on all of my Amigas, but tank mouse would be pretty hardcore to be going on with, to be doing this. So we'll just start to sketch in a scarf of some description, because obviously this is in freezing cold Hokkaido. So that's going to be roughly just the eyebrow there. I'm actually going to remove this line now. I don't need it. And a bit of this. So, bit of that, bit of this, bit of that. I'd say so. Yeah, that looks about right. Just tidying this up a little bit because it's just a little bit misaligned, even though this is just a sketch. Just a sketch. I like to have the right feel about it before I start inking something for real, as it were. Because otherwise, if it's not in the right ballpark, as I said earlier on, it's just going to take more work in the long run. Just going to adjust this bit here. Yeah, actually, what I'm going to do, just, I think I can see where I need to just adjust this a bit more still. Yeah, something like that. And then what will happen is that this bit here, it's still going to be there, isn't it? And this bit won't be. I could obviously just crack out the curve tool and be done with it. It's always good practice to be constructing your lines with the vertical tool. At least I think it is anyway. Yeah. Okay. It's a bit scrappy still, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Let's just tidy this line up actually. Looks sweet. Very roughly there. Okay, cool. So Saichi's, I think this peak needs to come out a bit more actually. So there we go. So Just going to come around like that. There we go. That's it. Hopefully the I'm sure it's just you guys are watching. Hopefully the chat's still working. I did have it stop working for me the last night. I think it was, wasn't it? So I'm sure it is working. Not that I expect you to be asking me questions. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything if you have asked me. You'll see that, just like when I sketch, I dot about all over the shop. I never draw just in one place. I just suddenly get interested in other little details which I've started and not yet finished. Over here, let's see. It's not quite right. That's beginning to look like the Hofmeister bear's hat there, pork pie hat. There we go. That's a bit better. I'm just going to see what the back of the hat is like. It must be. Yeah. Yeah, so I mustn't forget Saichi's ears either. So I'm just going to draw the jawline on the back here, just so that because obviously this is the remnants, that line that we use for the top of the eyes, that actually the ear is going to start pretty much at that point. Maybe just a little bit higher up actually, but generally about that point. Just a little bit higher up here because of the perspective. So I'm just basically slapping this down. It's far from a fully considered. I mean, I think you've got to put a little bit of something yourself, because if you just basically replicate exactly what's in the original, it's like, well, where's you in all of that? You want to leave a little calling card, which obviously at the moment this does not indicate anything of my style, because it's just an outline of roughly where everything is going to go. This is the stage of like working out the proportions, making sure that everything is going to be in the right final position. So this ear is going to need to move back just a little bit. And then I just want to look at the back of the... oh. Okay, so this... oh, I see. So that's actually, yeah. Okay, so it just goes back around. So this bit here is actually the strap that otherwise loops around the chin, which Saichi is right, so the back of the head obviously extends beyond the back of the ears. If you look at your own position of your ear, you'll see that it goes back quite a way. Okay, so I think what needs to happen here is this needs to, because there will be a bit of compression obviously on the perspective, so there's a peak at a... Oh, I see, yeah. So actually this, perhaps that's what I need to sort out first of all, is actually where this peak comes back in to meet the rest of the hat, actually, thinking about it. Looks so. Okay, yeah, that looks about right. And what I can do is bring this up. Ooh. Cut this and ooh. Drop this down a bit. There you go. There we go. Let's bring you back up again. Ooh. Hopefully you can still see all the picture, guys. Still here. Yeah, no, it's all good, Phil. Yeah. They always look... Well, practice makes perfect, Doug, eh? Practice makes perfect. I mean, these are obviously very rough at the moment, but yeah. If you can crack eyes in manga, you're pretty much... You're well on your way, I say. But there is no, as I was just trying to indicate earlier on, there is far from only one style. Yeah, just nice to watch some fast progress. Well, that's the point, isn't it? I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything, because I do know that yesterday I got well behind on what you guys were asking me. Because for some reason, it's never happened before, my phone just decided to stop updating the chat, so I didn't want to be ignorant. But yeah, it's good to make some actual real progress, isn't it? I'm going to pause in a moment just so that I can actually drink some of the juice that I got out of the fridge. And it's just been sat there, just out of arm's reach. And also to put a light on, because I would say the sun's going down here, but it's a bit overcast here this evening. No sunset like last night. Oh yeah, that's quite a helpful detail. Just sort of see it, because obviously I wasn't sure about the back of Saichi's hair, so yeah, it's just like spiky tufts and that. So I think ultimately, really, the top of the hat is actually going to extend, the more I look at this, out of the viewport, well, you know, off the canvas, which I'm fine about. So like so, and then if you think about, I mean, really, this is anatomically incorrect as well over here, because look at this. Well, you can't see where I'm pointing, but basically where the cheekbone goes up, the brow of the hat, or the edge of the hat is just not in the right position at all there. I'm doing this very scrappily, but actually there's a point to doing this. It's got to be quite accurate, as I say, but it's also important not to let your flow stop and feel like, oh, I'm making a mess of it all. That's really lumpy bumpy. I can do that better. Because otherwise you'll be worried about, oh, because when you're doing larger scale pixel art like this, that's sort of beginning to go beyond sort of just pixel art, is more sort of like, well, I'm just drawing. Because, you know, this is basically like a VGA size screen. Well, it's bigger than VGA. It's almost, with the overscan, it's almost approaching SVGA resolution. We're almost at 800 by 600 here, so and I'm not joking, kids, we really are. So we're at 704 by 566. So we're only 96 pixels short on the horizontal dimension, and we're only a matter of, what's that, 34 pixels short on the vertical dimension, and we're basically drawing at 800 by 600 really. So it's beginning to sort of, it is pixel art, but we're dealing with a bigger resolution here. I'm still not sure about whether this is actually going to be the final marking for the back of Saichi's hat, but it'll do for now. You're going to raise your foot. Raise your hand if you're not here. You're switching between us and Discord chat. Cool. No, well, it'll be a bit hard to focus on this the whole time. I mean, maybe you guys are. I don't know, but I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. As I say, I don't expect you to be asking me lots of questions, but just want to have a look at details. Excuse me. Oh, that's the bit where he breaks that guy's arm. Jeez. Like I say, this doesn't shy away from some more adult topics or themes. That's the thing that's overlooked with anime and manga by many people, so is the fact that cartoons aren't just for kids. I know I keep on fiddling with this, guys, but I just want to get it right. Just don't like it very much at the moment, so let's get this. feels a bit better. Like so. Yeah, that's better. You're raising somebody else's hand, are you, Phil? That's amazing bit when a few circles and line suddenly becomes a face. Yeah. This is the thing, isn't it? It's when you first look at it a few moments ago, you think, well, how on earth is that going to become, you know, something that's appropriate to sketch from? Where am I, Rob? I'm down near Worthing in Sussex, so sort of southeast England, so on the very southern tip of the UK, so. Well, obviously Cornwall's really technically, you know, when people talk about the most southerly point of the UK, you know, Cornwall's the most southerly point, isn't it, really? But if I went much further south than where I am now, if I walked for more than 3 minutes, my feet would start getting wet from the English Channel. Because I live near the beach. Because I think you're in Wales, aren't you, Rob? Am I? Yeah, I'm as far over as I can go there, so. Because what I'm probably going to do is, even though I've drawn Saichi seemingly over the top of Asiepa by basically drawing her first and then starting to draw these lines. Over the top of it, I'm actually probably going to get Asiepa to be on top of. That sounds terrible. You get Asiepa to be on top of Saichi, but that's. Considering that she's only meant to be 13 years old in this book, I think that would be a most inappropriate thing to be drawing too many conclusions from, folks. But you know what I meant. You know, basically she'd be in the foreground, whereas Saichi will be in the sort of just off to one side. So I don't need to actually do a massive amount more detail in many respects. I'm going to get rid of those lines. I know I didn't do them for the zebra over here, but I'm going to make this look a little bit wonky here, folks. You might think this looks a bit weird, but basically what it is actually going to be like the scarf wrapping around. And as I say, I don't need to do masses more detail. That's also the back of the head coming down around. Yeah, I've probably done the hair coming in a bit too far there. Let's just get rid of that. Let's see. Because obviously you've got the back of your head there. It sort of dips in slightly, so it comes down and around. Probably just a little bit more. Oh, have I unlocked the background there somehow? How did I unlock the background there? Did I accidentally do it when I flicked with the menu a little while ago? Never mind, it doesn't matter. Nothing stays... Yeah, because the back of the neck is actually going to be down like so. Roughly that anyway, so... It's actually the scarf. Yeah, but basically locking the background there doesn't stick after you've saved the document and left it. It's only at the time of actual drawing. That's roughly it. Yeah, the reality is that the back of Saichi's hat here is gonna slope off very quickly into the background. I think so. Probably need a bit more perspective on this bit here, but that's roughly about right. Just going to slightly move, just ever so slightly, this eye. Where was it? There we go, it's better. And get rid of the remainder of this line here. You're in South Wales, proud Welshman. Ah, good for you. Oh yeah, Crowborough. Yeah, it's not a million miles from here. It's probably about 3/4 an hour drive from here. It's not that many miles, but it's just all the traffic and everything around here, unfortunately, is appalling. It's about, I don't know, how far's Crowborough from here? I'm guessing about 35 miles maybe. Over in East Sussex, so West Sussex here represent. Yeah, that's right. Northamptonshire near the Gloucester-Worcestershire border. That's about right. Yeah, that's it. you got it, Doug. Sounding a bit like there was a couple of guys who used to be on the radio back on Radio 1 back in the day called Mark and Lard, and they used to have people who used to ring in, shall we say, from silly sounding places. So Leicestershire and Worcestershire and all that kind of thing. So right, I'm going to adjust this mouth completely actually, because that's just really almost laughably wrong at the moment. I'm not sure why I drew it so early. Yeah, something like that. Now the other thing with Saich is he has these very prominent scars. So I'm just going to roughly put those in as well. Don't know why I'm adjusting it. I was actually quite happy with it. Yeah, that'll do. Quit fiddling, Vicky. So yeah, he has these scars that basically sort of extend down from the bridge of the nose here. Under the eye, and then just basically wrap around. And then there's another scar that runs down from about, looking at this particular sketch anyway, it runs down roughly from just below his eye, curves around the cheekbone. Actually, it looks like it goes over the mouth, but that to me just makes, well, maybe that is okay actually. Maybe that's still, yeah, that's still a bit wrong. Obviously all of this can be adjusted. And Saichi's shoulders are going to roughly be around here. Like so. Still fiddling with that eye. Yeah, that looks okay to me. Let's save that. You remember Mark and Lard, do you, Robert? Yeah, they were great. Wouldn't get on any Footlight Radio 1 now. Absolutely. So I'm just going to flick a light on, so be right back, guys. Yeah, these days you'd never get away with it. I used to love Lard's Classic Cuts and all of the silly spoof game shows they did, so I'll have a biggity bong, please. So I'm just going to have a little drink of this, so stop! Carry on. Oh, lose my headphones. Guy liner alert. Yeah, it does look a bit. I see what you mean now, yeah. Right, let's just have a look where we are time-wise. Oh my gosh, it's 9:15. You back off the mic a bit. Yes, I'm not going to try and affect that because it will sound awful. Yeah, they were brilliant, weren't they? So, is it hard to find in that condition? Yes, in that condition it is. Unfortunately, I tend to still quote Mark and Lard in various places and usually just get looks of derision aimed towards me, so... Might be actually better than that. Comes down like that. Yeah, I like that a bit more. Let's use something other than a box tool, shall we, to clean this up? Just use the free hand. There we go. Yep. Don't need that anymore. Want these bits. So actually I'm relatively pleased with how that's turned. Well, when I say relatively, I'm quite pleased with how that sketch has come through so far, because obviously, as I say, I've not actually drawn Saichi before, so that's worked out quite well, really. I'm not entirely happy with this back of the hat here, to be honest with you, but I will sort that out in due course. So it's a bit, yeah, the perspective's all a bit wrong on it, but I'll work it out. So yeah, it becomes more apparent when you actually put this line in here. So okay, yeah, that's fine. So let's just save that. I'll just save that over the top. So hey there, Tien, nice to see you. Always good to see new peeps in the chat. So we're just using Amiga 500 here to do the initial outline sketch of these two characters from Golden Kamuy, Saiichi Sugimoto and Asiapa. Yeah, so we've got that pretty much outlined in now. So what I can do is just lock the cyan, just so I can tidy this bit up here. Like so. Okay, so this is just a very rough outline here. So right, so now we go on to the real thing, the actual inking in. Let's have a look at her eyes, just so that I can get a good feel for it. Yeah. Right, so this is where stuff starts getting a bit more serious in terms of actually getting this inked. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, because I'm using high res here, I'm going to just use the magnifier a little bit. So and actually I'm just going to lock the background again. So this follows my standard working practice of get the eyes right, everything else will follow. I don't honestly know if that's still there. But it is. It always works for me. It makes me feel good about something that I'm drawing. So there's something about just getting the eyes done that just helps everything start to come together. Obviously, with the black pixels, I'm going to be a lot more accurate with where they go, except for then. This is one of the differences with using high res rather than low res. Is it becomes much more like drawing proper than placing pixels down in very deliberate places. I mean, obviously we're still very much doing that, but it does step it up a bit when you're using high res, that's for sure. And there's also going to be just the eyelid crease just coming down here. Obviously I could start using some greys and stuff like that, but I think let's walk before we run on this one. Just going to slightly adjust this here. Because I think basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that the edge of the hairline there. Again, I'm still using the vertical tool here. Always look to the left as well, the non-magnified view, because that will tell you truly how your lines are working out. that looks good. Let's just thicken these lines up just a little here. Not much, just a little. Okay. I mean, obviously, Deluxe Paint does have a curve tool, but I find that I get much closer to what I want if I do it by hand and then tweak it. Let's just fill this. Oh, there's a pixel missing there. Like so. That goes in like so. Ooh. Or not, as the case might be. Oh, there you go. Let's just zoom in a bit more there. As you can see, I do use the keyboard shortcuts for those of you not so familiar with my pixel art videos and streams. The key to really getting on with Deluxe Paint sometimes is obviously to use the mouse, as I am here. But, you know, actually to draw with, that is. But is to use the keyboard shortcuts whilst you're drawing. Hey, Bockers! You alright? I hope you're good. Yeah, I'm using a mouse. Just show you. There it is. My Alpha Data optical mouse, so... yeah, all with a mouse. Too many years of doing this, but yeah, a good mouse is gonna always help you. Good to see you again, Bockers. Haven't seen you for a little while. Hope you've been keeping well. So we've done the outline sketch, which you can see here, and now let's just stick to doing this the way that I know best. Thought I could take a little shortcut there, but so yeah, always look at the left or the unmagnified view as you're drawing in magnified view. Very important when you're dealing with high res, because that will tell you whether your curves are actually smooth or not. So obviously you can get away with a little bit more in high res, but then if you're going to be really sloppy about your pixel placement, you might as well just be drawing in low res and be done with it. So because you're not going to make the best use of that extra resolution. Ignore the fact that we've got the teal still showing through. That obviously won't be there when we're finished, so... which incidentally won't be tonight, guys. And then the crease of the eyelid just extends underneath these eyelashes here. There we go. So you can see what I mean about getting these eyes done. Just, it's a good little boost, isn't it? So, you know, when you're not sure if something's going to work out, get the eyes sorted out. That's what I always say. Obviously, this will be the whites of the eyes here, so I may adjust other little bits and pieces about this, but for now, this is pretty much where I want it to be. Let's make sure this isn't looking too straight line-ish. So this is going to be the eyebrow, obviously. And the style that is used throughout what I've seen in this particular manga is not just one sort of line, but multiple. So I'm just going to mimic that. I've got to be a little bit careful here, because otherwise it can end up looking really scruffy, because ultimately we are just dealing with, in many respects, visible pixels. Admittedly, pixels that you would, like I say, we're almost drawing at 800 by 600 here, so not quite, but not far off at all. I'm just going to adjust this eye just ever so slightly. So what I'm going to do is just lower this bit. It's just arching a little bit too much for my tastes. Yeah, that's it. Tidy that back up again. Yeah, that's cool. Come down. Like so. That's it. Obviously, again, this is still going to be Asiapa's hairline here, so where her hair's coming down, as it were. So not so much a hairline as it, but you know what I mean. And you can come over here, and we will do the other eye. Just chip into that little bit there. So. Yeah, that's looking good. So yes, I do draw with a graphics tablet when I'm using sort of more modern systems like my Mac, and I'm using Sketchbook or something like that. But on the Amiga, it's mouse and RSI for me, as in repetitive strain injury, which I'm very fortunate not to suffer from, at least yet anyway. This does need to be over, doesn't it? I think actually my original sketch line is on the money there. So yes, the old ACA 500 gets a good workout in my camp, so not that you need an ACA to do any of this. Just dig out your Amiga 500 from the loft and get going. Everybody goes on about how many colours the Amiga had compared perhaps to Macintosh, but the other thing is that it had so much more resolution to begin with as well. Oh, okay. Didn't want to do that. Keep from forgetting that obviously you've got to close up these bits here as well. Okay. So yeah, back in 1987 this was even though it was basically just a refined Amiga 1000, it was still pretty nifty stuff, although VGA was on the scene in 1987 as well eventually, but not at the Amiga's price point though, so it's a powerful little beastie, these computers. Don't just look at them as games machines, they were computers as well, so it's a beautiful eye staring back at you. I know, this is what happens when you step away from the screen for 5 seconds. She still looks really unhappy at the moment, but it will all begin to make sense. Yeah, that's better. It will all begin to make sense eventually. The drawing, that is, not life. Just draw the highlight here. Which goes a little something like this. Let's just do the other crease above the eye here. Don't need to come over as far as that. In that region. That's good. You just refurbed your A500. Awesome, Ralph. Good to see you. Using your Amiga 500 tonight. Ta-da. Every day is a school day for you lately? Oh, that's awesome. Every day should be a school day. Life gets boring when you think you know everything. I'm being brave putting these lines in already, aren't I? Not thinking about it, just going for it, so... I think you have to be to some extent though. You can sort of... See, that line there is just totally wrong now that I look at this. Here you go. I think I need to foreshorten this a little bit, so I think what I'm going to do is take this piece here, bring this over like so. And I think what I'm going to do is just say that that is my new bridge of the nose marking there. The pupil's just a little bit too large for my liking. And it comes down like so. I'm just going to remove some of this as well. It's just not quite right as far as I'm concerned. It's close, but it's just not quite right. And don't be scared to make adjustment, guys. It's best to always learn by correcting things. It's the fastest way to learn. See how much better that looks already? Yeah, that's much better. Much better. I might need to adjust it a bit more in time, but for now it's working for me. More so than it was, so... Yeah, I think it is. Right. Let's look at this mouth. The reason why she's looking a bit grumpy is the top half of the mouth. She looks a bit like Dracula at the minute. But bear in mind, this is all going to be shaded as well, isn't it? So this is actually going to be white in here. And then there's going to be sort of like a bit of a grey shadow here. I need to blink. Concentration, Ralph. Concentration. Blink and you'll miss it. Yeah, she looks a bit... a little bit vampirish at the moment, but she ain't gonna stay that way. Because even though I can see through it, I can see that I just want to put this line in here because it's not going to stay there, folks, that line I've just drawn in. But I just don't want to look at her looking like a vampire any longer. Let's just adjust this cheekbone here, so it's just a little bit off at the moment. That's probably a bit better. Let's come back around here. Let's press the N just to recenter the magnifier. Like so, something like that. Just going to sort this out, it's just not right there. Okay, so Okay, that looks good. So yeah, I'm always looking to refine what I've drawn. Hey there, Late Night Reviews, how are you? What version of Photoshop is this? This is Deluxe Paint on the Amiga, on my Amiga 500, version 3. So yeah, we're drawing in high-res mode with a mouse. And yeah, that's pretty much where we've got to so far. All the cyan outlines are basically the sketch marks for a sepia, and then the red ones are for Saiichi. But yeah, this is a 1987 Commodore Amiga. Commodore Amiga 500 more precisely. N for, yeah, absolutely. When you're using a magnifier, because what you can do is, say I want to center on this eye here, Phil. So I've got my cursor over it. Just press N. Ta-da! Like so. Really, really, really helpful. It's hard to believe these days that the people that obviously sold and I suppose to some extent you could say created Deluxe Paint, although it is Dan Silver's brainchild, is Electronic Arts, so them of FIFA 9058 fame. They used to be a much more innovative company, didn't they? Not just in terms of the productivity software that they made for the first 10 or so years of their life, but also their games were a lot more varied in the early days. So yeah, this was the Amiga's killer app, if you ask me. Ask another person, they'll say something like Scala or something like that, but yeah. Actually, that's not quite right. What I can do is then just pick that bit up there, because that bit's okay. So, and the hair is just going to come down here a little. Cool. Okay. I'm just looking at that. The outline of the cheek. Just wondering what. Doesn't look quite right to me at the moment. I think it's about there actually. Yeah, that's better. You should read the manual, Phil. Yeah, well, far be it for me to say it, but yeah. Seriously, the manual is so helpful in Deluxe Paint. It really, truly is. It's one of a really good manual. I think it is. Some people don't rate it, but I think they're good manuals. I'm just going to have Sepa's hair have more of a curve to it. So I think I could just double up a little bit here and blend that in. Yeah, I think so. Okay, obviously I've doubled up on the lines a bit there with the black, but that's okay because obviously this is going to be the hair sweeping around anyway, so it's going to be black anyway, so... Yep, that's cool. Let's get a few little licks of hair blowing in the breeze here. Let's come in there a bit. Oh, no, that's totally wrong. Yeah, let's go in there. Right, better save this. Okay, so this can become 1.8. There we go. I might as well just save this on disk as well because I don't know what this disk here is. Just to be on the safe side. Oh. Oh, I've already got some other stuff in here, that's fine, so let's just make a copy of that. I know a floppy disk seems like the strange thing to back it up on, but I don't really have a lot of choices at the moment, do I? Oh, it's 10 o'clock, so I think I'm going to wrap this up shortly, guys. There you go. Good, they're both in there. Just putting in some rough outlines of the hair there. Yeah, I think that's just gonna. It's just a little bit. That's better. Just roughly putting a bit more hair coming down here. Oh, see, I got too sidetracked with me looking at the left of the screen. I didn't realise that I'd run out of magnifying space on the left. I was thinking, why isn't my mouse moving anymore? So yeah, keep an eye on the left, but don't get too drawn into it. But the other cool thing about that N keyboard shortcut, Phil, is that basically it will still work as you're dragging the mouse around. So, you know, you don't have to unclick, undo, then recenter. It will work, and that's the beauty of the keyboard with Deluxe Paint. So it's very much something that you can use as you're painting. Okay. Is that a bit better, or is it? Maybe it's not. Maybe that's. It looks a little bit pug-nosed at the moment without all the shading, but. Yeah. Okay. I'll just finish up a little bit on these eyelashes, and I think that's going to be it for tonight. So we'll review progress as always in just a moment, so we can see where we started. And in fact, I didn't really save much of the outline progress, did I? I just basically cracked straight on, didn't I? So yep. The other nice thing about, obviously, this being in high-res mode is I can just put in just a few more markings that you'd usually be able to do with just standard low-res. So you can, obviously, you're never going to make it look like it's an ink drawing per se, but you can get a few more flourishes in there that you might not be able to do. Ordinarily. Still feel that this, I don't know, it's just a little bit. Just want to see something here. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better. Sometimes when you're yeah, I think that's overall better, like to say. I'll just take some of this density out of here, just even though it's going to be filled in eventually. I'll just do a bit of that. Just to make it look less heavy here, because it's giving a bit of an optical illusion at the moment by okay, I think that's looking pretty good. Just want to try, having just done that, just curious. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this to the spare, and I'm just going to make a stencil. Just humour me on this. Obviously the nose is in totally the wrong position at the moment, but see, that looks better to me. I think I got her face just a little bit too tall personally. She's only meant to be a child really, isn't she? So she's only 13 years old I think in the book, or in the manga rather. So let's just turn that off. I'll just tidy this up and I think that's where we're going to leave it today. There we go. Looks all right. Can never quite leave the eyes alone, can I? But I have to get these right to feel that I'm going in the right direction with it all, so. Yeah, that's working a lot better for me. Just undo that a moment. Turn the stencil back on. Hey there, Saber-Tooth Barnacle. You survived your Dartmoor expedition then. We're going to be calling the stream very soon, so. Because it's a school night. I've got to put my packed lunch in my bag. I haven't really. When I take packed lunch to work, but I don't make it the night before. Come on, folks. I'm not that organised. I don't think I've ever been that organised. Excuse me. Yeah, this looks a bit more in proportion with what I was thinking. So everything else needs to shift up a little bit as a result, but that's okay, I can work that out. So yeah, hope you're doing well, Saber-Tooth Barnacle. just again, just humour me a moment. Let me just try something. Oh, that looks nice. Yeah, that works. Did wonder about that. Not like that though, that looks awful. Oh, I had it a moment ago, didn't I? Yeah, I think that's about it, isn't it? Yeah. Thanks, Alex. Hi, how you doing? So, you hate making the lunch rush in the morning. You hate, yeah, still do it in the morning. I know, me too as well. So, you did. Oh, good, good. Was the weather kind to you? Or was it a bit wet and windy up on Dartmoor and foggy and all the usual bits that Dartmoor does? Good to see you, Alex. Hope you're doing well. Doing a bit of a high-res Amiga pixel art on the Amiga 500 this evening. I could have easily done this on the Amiga 600, but I just fancy stretching the Amiga 500's legs a little bit, so... So as you can see, we've got basically a sketch here. We're going to have 2 characters eventually, so I've just basically started working on beginning to ink a sepia here on the left. And you can see that I've made some adjustments from my initial sketch, like I had her face just a little bit too long really. So I've corrected those proportions and now I'm much happier with it, so... And that will be just some of the hair sort of just flicking underneath Sipa's chin now. Ooh, magnify this. So you can see the pixels much easier in low res, where in high res, yeah, you need the magnifier at times. Really, it's even on a large screen like now. So yeah, you're quite well, quite well. Comme ci, comme ça. Okay, I think that's as far as I'm going to take it this evening, guys. Just going to save this. I'll show you the progress that we've made. Obviously I was working on this on a spare page because here's the original, so you can see where the face length is just too tall really. So that looks much better. Just so you can see it, just for your own purposes. Let's go through what we've done today. We'll start here. So we started off basically finishing the outline. We'll go no for that one. Ignore these strange markings over here. It's just where I've told it not to use its the file size. So that's the outline of a sepia, and then we got Saiichi drawn in. So there, oh, hang on. Wrong one, sorry, outline 2. So there's Saichi. So look, we're having opposing figures here, but Asiapa's going to be on top of Saichi when it's all finished. So hence it's a bit cut off, and I've not drawn in all the detail of Asiapa's sort of shawl or scarf. So do I think I could model these and imagine? Oh, probably not myself. No, I don't really have much rendering package skills. I could probably do them. I was contemplating, do I do this in Draw Studio, like the vector art package? And I do use the Amiga 1200 to do vector art in. But I thought, no, let's do this as pixel art. So, and then this was the first save bit. So I started inking, and then that pretty much brought us up to this point, which we just saved at, which was here. So just to show you, just to get rid of the cyan markings, how much of this do I want to erase? Maybe just around here. But yeah, you can see a bit more the actual detail there now. Maybe if I just take it out from around the face here. Like so. Gives you a little bit more of a feel for how it will look once all those markings are removed. Obviously, as I say, eventually I'm going to change this grey into white like so, but that's just a little bit too bright to work with, burn my retinas out, so I just always dim it back a bit to start with. Like there is usually much more comfortable to work with, because that's just too bright, but that will be what we'll change it to when it's all done. So but yeah, so that's pretty much where we've got to. Obviously I'm going to have to tidy up things like, you know, where stencil's still on, you know, sort of the hairline as it drops around here and stuff like that, but that's all to come. So yeah, it gives you a bit of an idea, but yeah, I'm just doodling now. You'd buy a canvas print for your cave. Oh, cool. Yeah, I know I could do that for you. Got to finish it first though, Rob. But I could do that, so yeah, I'll remove that now, but yeah, so it's coming along nicely. So yeah, another thing that I've started that I'll have to finish at some point, so which I will do. So I'm just going to back up these files again. I think those were saved. Yeah, they're on the documents folder or drive, so let's quit that. Nope, let's just copy these again onto disk. Floppy disk, that is. There we go. I do trust the compact flash card I've got here, but just to be on the safe side, so there we go. Just want to make sure that this is saved. that's all good. So we're all saved. So yeah, that's pretty much it for tonight, folks. So you have a bunch of Oliver Frey. Oh, that is cool. So I do like his stuff. Right, well, that's about it for tonight, folks. That's about all for now, folks. Need the old Looney Tunes ending on the Warner Brothers finishing, don't we, with Porky Pig there. So not that I'm Porky Pig. Wow, that was 2 hours 47. Gosh, I didn't realise I'd gone on that long again. When I get going with something, I get going with something. So yeah, thanks for tuning in this evening, guys. We will be picking this up along with all the others, other bits of artwork that we've been working on of late. So yeah, we've got some Evangelion stuff to finish up on, and all sorts, but that's some pretty good progress so far. So yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your week, guys. There'll be no Chrono Trigger Tuesday this Tuesday, as I mentioned on the last couple of streams. I'm not sure when I'm going to be streaming next. It's doubtful that it will be before Friday, very doubtful indeed, actually. So yeah, we will pick this one up soon though, along with all the other bits that I'm working on concurrently, and hope you all have a great rest of your evenings, and thanks for the chat. If you've enjoyed this evening, don't forget to drop a little like on the video. It's always nice to know that whether you've enjoyed the video or not. So, and yeah, see you again soon, guys. Take care. Peace.